Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this panel discussion on amplifying radio's potential with AI. I'm Tamara Orban-Mikus, and I'm happy to be your moderator today. I come from commercial radio background with more than 15 years of experience and working as a music and program director at Schlager FM in Budapest. AI is changing the radio in many ways, from music programming and how we create content to how we connect with our audience and grow our businesses. But these changes also cause big questions and even concerns. Today, we'll talk about three main things: how AI can help music programming and scheduling, support high-quality content and business success, and the ethical challenges like data privacy and content integrity. To help us understand what AI can really do for radio, we have two fantastic experts here. So let me introduce you first, Nick Dunkerley. Nick is the director and founder of Hindenburg Systems. He has over 15 years of experience in public radio and started out in sound engineering and journalism. While working on project in Zambia, he saw the need for an easier way to edit audio. So he founded Hindenburg, the tool that makes storytelling easy for everyone. Next, we have Philippe Generali. Philippe is the president and CEO of RCS Worldwide and has led the company since 2000. He is a pioneer in radio and media technology, helping stations with music scheduling, programming, automation, and audience engagement. He also founded Media Monitors and played a key role in developing AI-driven tools for radio and TV. So with these two experts here, we have an exciting discussion ahead. So let's dive in first with a quick question to you guys. How many of you are already using AI in your work? Raise your hands. Oh my God. Almost everyone. And who thinks that AI can make radio better? We are here today to explore not just if AI can make radio better, but how can we use it to enhance human creativity and storytelling. So let's take a look on our first part, which is music programming. Philippe, I have to ask you, as a music editor for more than 16 years, how AI can help us music editors to create specific playlists? For example, can I ask my scheduling software to help me create a playlist, for example, with the biggest summer hits from the 80s to nowadays, at a specific time during the day?
Yes, Tamara, you can do that today. In fact, you've been able to do that for a long time. I think the creativity in music scheduling is easy to get input from AI, and you can ask ChatGPT to build a playlist as you want. What we see for music scheduling, though, is an evolution of the role of the people that create content with music. 30 years ago, it was one channel, one program director, one engineer, and all you had to take care is 24 hours of music for your station. Today, and depending on the countries where you are, the radio is consolidating. You have fewer program directors that are handling more and more channels. So what we think that AI can do for music scheduling is to help handle a lot of content. Today, an average program director in the United States, for example, is asked to take care of not only his station, but the side station, about a dozen or 2 dozen or 3 dozen web stations, and he has to deal with all the data that is coming from the outside world to get her or him some information. So what's important is how do you handle the playlist for 100 stations when you're responsible for that? And you know that tomorrow it's going to be 200 stations. You can't possibly be looking at all the activities of all the songs that you want to play on the internet, on streaming, on YouTube, on Apple Music, on your Shazams, on your research, your auditorium, your data coming from your own research company and your own data point. So what we've done at RCS, we are going to introduce in April at the NAB in Las Vegas the very first music scheduling in the cloud. It's called Selector Cloud, and this is a system that will have an ability to handle all the data points that you get as a content creator, which will tell you what songs, activity there is in the outside world, and it includes also your research system, because we know that people do auditorium, music testing, email testing, you send out a questionnaire about the music that you're playing, do your listener like it or not? All these are data points, and it's already complicated to handle all those data points to know whether this song should be played more often than this one, or that one should get out of the playlist, or this one should get in of the playlist. You didn't see it coming, and the record labels are not giving you any cues that this is something that you should play. But you see it on your streaming data saying this is getting a lot of streams, and this is really an artist that I should be playing. AI can do that, saying, how about that song? That song is really getting some interesting data from the outside world. Maybe you should try it on the air. In fact, we think the processing of that data will allow you to do not only one channel, but hundreds of channels.
Can AI pick which songs will be the hits?
Can you what?
Can AI pick which songs will be the hits?
Yes, there are trends. There are definitely trends. So when you look at the trajectory of a song, it's usually the fan base. The fan base is something that will give the initial streams of the song, which will give the popularity of the song or of the artist. But the streaming is not everything. It's not only the success. It's not the only thing for the success. It's definitely a trajectory. When you see a stream week after week after week after week, which is going up, there might be something behind that. You have to make sure that this fits your image, this fits your audience, this fits what you want. But there are some things that help the artist also go up. You have to take that in account. For example, this week in the United States, the #1 song is Gracie Adams. She's a fantastic singer. Yeah. You know her. Yeah. She sounds like Taylor Swift. Yeah. She doesn't like us to say that, but she sounds like Taylor Swift. And she really got her pop when she did the first opening act of Taylor Swift era tour. It was really something that's an add-on, and she now is #1 in the United States and in many countries around the world. So these are data points that you need to look at. How many concerts, how many entries, how many tickets, how many streams does she have, what is it? And if the trajectory is similar to trajectory of other songs in the past, you said this one has a probability of getting a #1 hit. Now, a radio station still has a big role to play, thanks God. We are the people that are defining what a #1 hit is. By definition, a #1 is, if we all want to play it, that's going to become a #1. So yes, we can.
Okay, thank you, Philippe. Let's move on to the storytelling part of our session. Imagine I am a presenter for more than 30 years in commercial radio station, and I have told my listeners everything what I wanted to for thousands of times. How AI can help me and presenters to find new angles and draft new stories? Nick, what do you think?
Wasn't expecting that one. I guess you can do that in many different ways, but I think all the hands that were up a minute ago were indicating that you could use tools like GPT, whatever, to do research. And that would probably be the best answer. There are obviously different options out there right now, except OpenAI, but you can definitely get some kind of AI to do the research for you.
Philippe?
You have a fantastic assistant that can really help you get some new ideas. I think AI can do that. You can ask questions and you can have answers. At the end of the day, you are where you are. You're a great programmer because you have your guts, because you have your feelings, because you have your certitude, or because you've met the people that you're going to be talking about, or because you know the topic that you have. But definitely AI will prepare you for that, whether it's in writing or whether it's just to get some more information about what you're going to talk about.
And how can we use it to enhance human creativity? Exactly, how can we use it to enhance our creativity?
Well, that's actually really interesting because we often get the question is, can AI tools help us out? Can they make our life easier? Can they make us more productive? And obviously they can. We can use them for all kinds of things, as you're already doing. You can do it for research. You can use AI as audio cleanup tools. You can, if you're using transcription at the moment, that's also an AI feature. So all these things are clearly expanding. So are we going to be more productive? Definitely. I guess now the question really will be that, is that necessarily what we want? Is productivity the end goal? Or are we actually trying to aim for something which is more based on quality? And I guess that goes back to your questions. How do we... So our approach to it, at least, is that we need to, from a tool developer's point of view, and this goes for you as well, we need to remove as many obstacles as we can for journalists to be able to focus on what's important. This is my point of view, we shouldn't necessarily need to be more productive and create more channels or more programming, but what we should be doing is focusing on raising the quality of the material that we have. And we already heard it in the opening session this morning that if there was ever a time where we need journalists to actually start digging into stories, this is it. And I think definitely the AI is going to be able to help us out to create better stories.
You can also create content. The session before with Futuri was talking about how you can go out, fetch content, and have it read by a synthetic voice. You don't need to go all out, but definitely go out and fetch content is something that that can be very helpful. So, yes, you have your content out there, and the AI can gather it for you.
Nick, you brought us a short audio.
Yeah.
Would you tell us about that?
I can. It's just because we've been talking about AI for a long time now, and I've been talking to a lot of journalists about it, and often we get all caught up in how this is going to make everything easier. And I'm not necessarily that keen on easy, because I was talking to a bunch of journalists not so long ago, and they were, again, asking for tools, how can we make it easier for ourselves, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, the thing is, if we keep pushing for having tools doing your job, why would we need you? So, and that might sound provocative, but have a listen to this.
Yes.
Listen and learn.
Yeah.
Really got the wheels turning for us about what we might be missing.
Oh, absolutely.
When we're just, just passively listening to stuff.
Right. It's like we're all at that 1915 concert.
Right.
The Edison tone test.
Yeah.
Where they have the phonograph playing recordings of the famous contralto Christine Miller.
Yeah.
Mixed in with her live singing.
And people can't tell the difference.
How often are we truly listening
Right.
versus just, hearing noise?
So how do we break free of this sonic fog?
Well, that's the big question.
Yeah.
And Dunkerley, he suggests expanding our storytelling palette.
Well, what does that even mean? I mean, really?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it comes down to actively seeking out diverse audio experiences.
Okay. So until next time, happy listening.
So anyway, that was a radio segment. It had, people chatting back and forth. The only thing about it, obviously, hope you guessed this by now, this was AI. There was no one there talking. I hope you all got that as you were listening to it. And the issue was, that took me, about 5 minutes to do? I just pointed to a document, had that bounced out. Obviously, I can play around with a bit of sound, so I just did that for fun. But the question is, again, is that any good? We can throw this kind of things out, like hours and hours and hours of content, but is this what we want to do? Is this what we want to end up using AI for, just producing more content? Personally, I don't think we should. I think this is rubbish. But it's fascinating, and for some it should be quite scary. So what I'm trying to go out and preach when anyone wants to listen is that, yes, AI tools are great. We should all use them, definitely. They are. We shouldn't run away from them. We can't. Where would we run? But we have to make ourselves better as journalists and as storytellers all the time. We need to be the ones who are directing these stories and not just being, wagged along as the tail wagging the dog, or whatever the expression is. So it's just really important that we bear that in mind. If we don't better ourselves, we're going to be irrelevant.
Okay, when we are at this point, when we talk about AI-generated sounds, what are the best ways to use AI to keep things real? Because all of these things, the AI-generated audio, it sounds a bit plastic. So what are the best ways, instead, to use AI to keep things real?
I guess you've all had experiences using AI. If you used it for prompting text or creating images, anything like that. I still think the main thing is that, okay, I can write to my ChatGPT, write me an article about radio days, and poof, we'll have one. If I don't know anything about writing, if I don't know anything about radio days, if I don't know anything, I'll just take it for what it is. It's just going to be some text, and it's the same with images. I can say, well, make an image of a tape recorder. If I know nothing about tape recorders or how to set up images, it's just going to feed me, well, what's the expression? We're just going to get, I'm just going to say something rude. Something just generates more of something which is bad. We'll just get a lot of, I'm not going to say a swear word, but it's not going to be good. We're going to have a lot of it.
You can go ahead. We're not on the
No,
air.
I'm not going to say that. I always get in trouble for swearing. I'm trying not to. So it's just, and the tools are just going to be better. And it's not just going to be a little bit better. The curve that we're on at the moment is exponential, the word I cannot say, and I'm happy to say it in front of you. So we're talking about, at the moment, we have AI that has an EQ above average. And the next generations of AIs coming out will have an EQ around 160, about the same as Einstein. But this is just an exponential curve, which means that by this time next year, it will be over 200, and so on and so forth. So we're looking at an EQ or an intelligence that we're going to be using that has an EQ that's probably around 1,000. We're never going to have any idea what is going on there. So we need to figure out a way to coexist with this and still be authentic about what we're doing. And that means that we can't just lean into it and say, you do the job for me. Then it becomes too easy. and then we become irrelevant. This is going to be a tough job for all of us. We need to, again, just be the best version of ourselves.
I think if there is one small piece of advice that I can give to people who want to play with AI, experiment with AI, is get yourself an online course about a technology that's called prompt engineering. The answer lies in there, somewhere, in this gigantic, enormous, powerful, smart artificial intelligence machine, whether it's ChatGPT or any of the other one that you want to use. But the result that you get is directly proportional to the answer that you put out. And you have to know how to put out an answer. Your question is, can I get, you open with that, can I get a playlist of songs, disco songs from the 70s? If you ask something like that, you're going to have a ChatGPT, you're going to have a dozen songs, 20, 100, whatever. But if you prompt it a little better, saying, I want songs that were #1 on the Billboard 100 in the year 1978 to 1979, and that have beats per minute of at least 120, and give me 15 songs because I want to do just 1 hour. If you prompt it and ask the question, you're going to get much better result. You're not going to have to sort through a lot of crap. That's my word.
Your words, not mine.
Prompt engineering. Just Google it online, get a prompt engineering. It's going to teach you how to ask the question and to refine the question, because you get an answer, and then you're going to ask a different way the question, and you get a better answer from the system.
Philippe, you brought us a video about Hurricane Helene.
Yeah, so this is like borderline AI. It's a story that went on the national news in the United States, on CBS News, the national. And it's a story about radio, the power of radio, and the power of the cloud. When you have your radio station, which is using cloud tools, you're able to do a lot of things that you can't do when you have gear, which is at the station. So in this case, it's a sad story where there was like a weather event, storm, and the station got off the air, and yet the resilience of radio station to try to help people talk to each other and get together, and I think we can listen to that.
We just started listening to the radio, and the radio was our only way of communication. We had no cell phone service. Nobody did.
And what service there was spotty at best. When people were able to make a call, they got word to the best megaphone in Western North Carolina.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the Rescue, Recovery, and Relief Operation.
In the middle of this modern climate change disaster, the calls for help were answered old school.
Well, I'm trying to hold my aunt and uncle out in Weaverville, and I can't get a hold of them.
For days, WWNC's AM radio host Mark Starling and his producer Tank Spencer served as a proxy dispatch service, helping to coordinate wellness checks and connect the stranded with nearby resources.
I want to put you back on hold so that Tank can get your phone number.
We didn't have any connection to the outside world except our radio stations, and we were the only two here, so we kind of had a mission of like, okay, well, we've got to walk these people through the storm.
So
This is a powerful example, I think, which shows how radio remains a lifeline in times of crisis. Radio is truly, radio connect people, inform, and support them when they need it the most.
yes, so there's not a lot of AI in that, although there is really smart stuff. It's a centralized system, and they were able within a few minutes. It's an iHeartMedia station, and it's a bunch of stations. They were able to redirect all the signals onto one common signal that was connecting the listener with each other. And because the cell phone towers were out, there's no cell phone, so you don't know what's going on when there's a flood. And so where is my loved one? Where is my dog? Where is my cat? Did you see this person, that person? And it went through radio, and radio broadcasted it, and it was getting the information out, which was really fantastic. And we just wanted to show that because it's a cheering story. And it's TV talking about radio. I mean, TV has their own problem, so when they talk about radio, it's really a good compliment. It's like when radios talk about newspapers, right? So it's really very rare. It's a tribute to radio. So hats off to radio.
Okay, so let's move on to the safe and smart part of our session. So we share a lot of information with AI, but how can we keep our data safe?
Good question. I can only say how we do it within Hindenburg. We have, from a very early on, made sure that any information, the whole system is an on-device system, and it's all offline. So transcription and other tools that we're using offline. And the reason for that is that there was a bit too many stories going around in the early days of AI, which was like a fortnight ago, it seems, the first AI came out. And the problem with having information in the sky, not all information, but if you have critical information, if you're a journalist and you have critical information, you don't necessarily want your transcription to be uploaded to a cloud service. And you could ask why, but there was actually an example going around at the time where there was an American journalist who had done an interview with a minority group in China. I hope this is not going online, this conversation. Anyway, he then uploaded this interview to have it transcribed and thought no more of it until a Chinese agent was knocking on his door asking him why he was asking questions. So that kind of stories scare off many journalists. I've talked to New York Times about this and WNYC. And so having your information offline is really important if you're doing that kind of work. I don't think it's that important if it's Bob Dylan's song.
I think a lot of our colleagues are scared about AI. But how can we train our staffs to be the best shepherds of AI rather than seeing it as a threat?
I was speaking to someone yesterday about this, and I think we just need to be realistic about it. You might as well think whatever you're doing, if you're doing it online, someone might be listening. Someone might be using your data right now. I'm not saying they are, but you never know. There's a bit too many stories going around about backdoors into systems. For instance, I'm pretty sure that any American big tech company has to have security agencies have a backdoor into their systems. Again, this might not be an issue.
Okay, so before we close,
might not.
I'd love to open the floor for you guys. Do you have any questions for our speakers? This is a great opportunity to ask them directly about anything we discussed today or we haven't covered yet. Okay, do we have a microphone here in the second row?
There you go.
Thanks very much. Brian Rowan from Clay Broadcast. I think if we're talking about amplifying radio's potential, and today we've spoken about a couple of interesting examples, that example of disaster recovery that you brought up, Philippe, and maybe asking you both to throw a little bit into the future, that strikes me as a very human interaction between the audience and the presenters. And as a risk of some of these AI algorithms, note that the role of those humans, they could easily be replaced within 12, 18 months. You could effectively write a prompt subtle enough to suggest a mid-50s rural country and Western listening. You could define almost the audio output and then synthesize it beyond, notebook LM's capability. So at some point, you could commercially replace those guys with an algorithm that would cover the whole of the US, and we might end up with AI eradicating some of these things that this whole conference is about. The future of radio, is it potentially a risk to the future of radio, AI?
Well, what we see in radio for RCS, for example, what our clients are asking us with AI and synthetic voices, for example, is not to replace the DJ. No, there's no station that has replaced the DJ per se. But when a group of stations has one great DJ, they can share the DJ, the presenter between those stations. And then that voice can be made local by saying the call letters, the station name, the frequency, the weather, and everything, with AI to supplement that. So that track that one presenter has done, which is an original human track, can be extended by a personalization. This was on WXYZ 103.9, and then this was on WBBB 109.5, and so forth and so on, whatever the frequency is. And that extension of the voice is something that AI can do. I don't think it's ready yet to replace the human being.
It will be.
I was just going to say, if potentially your software product was to take that presenter that's so good, the client wants to spread them around a number of stations, and to A/B that presenter with one that is prompted to sound a little younger, a little more like this, a little more like that, and the tested B sample was more popular, are we not then really drifting into areas where you're going to have a synthetic version of that presenter, even running off their artificial voice might be more popular than their real one?
Definitely, but at the end of the day, all this comes down to our choices. Our choices as listeners, our choices as station managers. Which direction do we want to go in? Do we want to hire an AI, or do we want to hire a human being? It's also about human connections. Again, we will get to a stage. I know this is an example many of you have heard. Maybe some of you haven't heard it before. But we will get to a point very soon where you will have no idea if that's a human or not. We see that already with video. I was discussing a video the other day for about half an hour with someone who had to point out, no, this is fake. And I was like, no, it's not. And they said, yes, it is. It's really fake. I can't see it anymore. This is, and this is, go ahead 6 months, a year, 10 years. Well, no idea. So this is really a discussion about our humanity. Where do we see ourselves in this ecosystem? We will coexist, no doubt about it, but where we will see ourselves. And to go back to the meeting this morning, we as journalists and producers and what have you, we need to make content that is relevant for our users. Not based on, it's not really that interesting what the technology is, it just needs to be relevant. There's so much, can you say the word?
Crap.
Out there. But I had to think, can I do a little rant, a little theory rant? It's so easy to produce this kind of material now. Press a button, poof, we're flooding the media with these kinds of things. So I thought of as a thought experiment, but I thought it was quite interesting to say, how about if we apply what you do in the blockchain? Has anyone heard of the blockchain? Okay. Does anyone have heard about the proof of work? Right. The really cool thing about proof of work is it doesn't have any practical use. It doesn't calculate anything practical, but it uses a huge amount of energy, like the energy of Norway, to create bitcoins. And we're all talking about, why are we using this amount of energy? Why do we have these server parks out there? And the only reason they're there are for our security. They're making the transaction secure between you and I. And I thought, wait a minute, how about if we do that as storytellers? How about if we apply more effort to what we're doing? How if we make it better, if we make it more expensive, if we make it ridiculously expensive, not in money-wise, but in terms of putting energy into it, putting craftsmanship into it, then your listeners will know that this was made by a human.
Thank you so much for being here. We have to close our session. Thank you for being here also. We appreciate your time. Have a great night today at the Monday party, and enjoy the conference.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a million to Tamara, Nick, and to Philippe. It was great to get a bit of philosophy into the conference here. Enjoy your lunch, and we'll see you back in an hour for more amazing sessions. Thank you. We're good.